Hey there, and welcome back to She Busy. I'm Aasia, and today we'll be adding on to what we talked about last week. In the last episode, we talked about what to delegate to your managers, from scheduling to customer complaints and to staff management. If you missed that episode, I highly recommend going back and listening to it, especially if you struggle with what to actually delegate that will be meaningful and actually clear up strategic mental space in your brain and time on your calendar. But today we're covering the next critical step, which is how to actually train your leadership team to take those responsibilities on confidently. Building a leadership team that you can trust is so essential to freeing up your time and focusing on scaling your business. So let's jump into how we can make sure that your managers are actually ready to take over those tasks and to lead. Now, before we dive into the specific steps for training your team, let's talk about why training is so important. When you're building a leadership team, you can't just throw responsibilities at your managers and hope for the best. And you definitely can't just assume that they know what's expected of them, even if they've done this role previously at another company. Proper training ensures that they not only understand their roles, but they feel empowered to make decisions, solve problems, and actually take ownership of their own work. Because remember, effective leadership isn't just about doing tasks, it's about managing people, processes, and problems. So when your managers are well trained, they'll be able to handle day-to-day operations without constant oversight, giving you the time and the mental space to focus on strategy, growth, and scaling. So how do you make sure your leadership is ready to take on these key responsibilities? I know you're dying to pass off the tasks, but let's face it, there's a reason you've been holding on to these tasks so tightly. This is your business. It's part of your identity, your legacy. And if you're anything like me, and I have a feeling that you are, you've given your mind, body, your soul, your blood, sweat, and tears to your business, and you have sacrificed a lot as a business owner. You can't just pass along things that make your business, right? But because what if it ruins everything that you've built? I know, I've thought the exact same things, but the truth is, if you want to keep everything you've built and scale it like you actually dream of scaling it, you don't have any other choice. But it makes it easier and faster to do it with a plan. So here's a simple but effective framework that you can follow to actually train your employees and train your leadership team to be able to take over what you're focusing on right now. Number one, you have to define clear roles and responsibilities. The first step in training your leadership team is defining those roles and responsibilities because they need to know exactly what's expected of them. And here's why that's crucial, because without clear responsibilities, there's no accountability. If your managers aren't sure what they're responsible for, tasks can fall through the cracks, or worse, they'll just keep coming back to you every single time for guidance. So, how do you actually define the clear roles and responsibilities? Start by making note of exactly what tasks and areas each manager will oversee. For example, I have 4 people on my leadership team at my school, and we have identified what areas they should be focusing on. And things like scheduling and shift management, things we talked about delegating last time, you could be delegating them to the same person, to different people, but you do need to clarify who is responsible for what. And that includes yourself, because sometimes you want to pass these tasks along, but there's certain things that you're going to be keeping for yourself, especially when you're starting out. But your managers need to know that. What are the things that you feel that only you need to be working on and that they don't need to step over? Because that's like defining clear boundaries and understanding of where everyone should be and what they should be focusing on. And once you have all of these different tasks written down for every role that you have on your leadership team, share it with your managers and go over it in detail. Go over every single task with them and make sure that you're clarifying those expectations. Make sure they understand where their specific authority and decision-making begins and where it ends, and how and when they need to actually get you involved if ever. And a good tip for this is to use a checklist or a document to outline each task. That way your managers have a reference that they can come to, and it's actually easier to hold them accountable and for them to hold themselves accountable. We have a program that we use at our school. I do believe they have other industries that it's specific to, but the program that we use is childcare specific. It's called One Place, and we put a lot of different things in there like scorecards and checklists. And then that way it's electronically monitored. We can see who's completed it, when they've completed it, how much they've completed. and it keeps everyone on task and accountable. So if you can find a program like that, that's a great way to do it. Google Sheets is another way to keep track, but just some way to keep everyone on the same page and accountable. And step 2 of training is going to be to provide hands-on training and actual role playing. Because here's the thing, your managers won't actually feel confident handling a situation, especially things like customer complaints or staff problems that come up, if they've never practiced. And the best way to start is to teach them by letting them watch you handle it. You can't just pass off the task and be like, now you're responsible for staff conversation and customer complaints, and they've never seen you handle one. So I like to have my new leadership team members, they sit with me during conversations that are with clients or staff, or if there's a complaint or an issue or something that's crucial nature, then they sit with me just as a fly on the wall to see how I handle that situation. And then role playing is another great way to train, because hopefully you aren't having so many client complaints that you have every single scenario that's mapped out that you're able to show them in the actual flesh while you're doing it. But practicing scenarios that you see often in your business, it helps them prepare for the situations that they're most likely to face. Because let's say you want to train your manager on how to handle a customer complaint. Let them watch you and sit with you when you do have a customer complaint. And then they have the option afterwards to ask questions about why you did and said what you did, and you can offer some feedback on why you handled things in a certain way. Then try to role play the most commonly seen situations. Act as a difficult customer and have your manager practice handling that situation from start to finish, because this gives them the safe space to be able to make mistakes and build confidence. And remember, when you're role playing, try to let them go again from start to finish, because you want to see how they map out the whole scenario instead of interrupting their process, and then offer feedback after the fact. You can do this for pretty much any task, whether it's scheduling, resolving staff conflict, problem solving in the moment, dealing with irate or difficult customers, as I'm sure we all have or will at some point. And the more they can watch you, the more they can practice in a low pressure environment, the better it's going to be when the actual challenges come up. Tip: when you are role playing, do try to make sure that the scenarios are as realistic as possible. Try to use actual situations that your business has faced and guide them through how to respond professionally and effectively. But try not to be too far-fetched or off the map in your scenarios. There's no point in practicing something that may happen once in a lifetime. Practice the things that they're going to be regularly seeing. And number 3 in the steps of training, set up a decision-making framework. One of the biggest hurdles for many managers is knowing when they're actually allowed to make decisions on their own and when they need to escalate a situation to you. And this is where a decision-making framework comes in. This is basically a system you're creating because you want your managers to feel empowered to make decisions, but you also don't want them to feel like they're constantly walking on eggshells, worried that they might make the wrong call. So a decision-making framework or system helps them know exactly when to act and when to get you involved. And some of the things that you can build into this system is urgency. Does this issue need to be resolved immediately, or can it wait until the next time you sit down and meet together? And then you want to think about resources. Can this problem be solved with the resources and authority the manager already has, or does it require more input? And then impact. I mean, does this decision affect the whole business, or is it a minor issue that won't have long-term consequences? And for my business in my preschool, I do outline, like, these are the kinds of things that I want to get involved in, and these are the kind of scenarios that I want you guys to handle without my involvement. Because when your managers understand when and how to evaluate the situation, they can make the decisions confidently and come to you only when necessary. And a tip for this is you can also give them guidelines for specific types of decisions. For example, maybe they have the ability to offer a discount up to a certain amount to resolve customer complaints, but anything above that needs your approval. Like, for a real life example, before I started training my leadership properly, they would come to me and say, well, so-and-so made a late payment and we charged them the $10 late payment fee, and they're upset because this is their first time and they didn't realize it, their credit card got denied, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now we're in a situation where the client has expressed their frustration over the $10 charge, and my manager tells them, oh, wait, I need to talk to Aasia. That leaves them waiting in their already frustrated state. So they're sitting, waiting in frustration. And the right thing to do in that scenario would have been what I encourage my staff to do now, which is Try to solve the problem quickly and efficiently and come to me when the solution is past a certain dollar amount or a certain level of expertise. And in that situation, it was a first-time offense. Their credit card got declined. I'm not saying we do this for everybody, but overall, if they were upset about that and it is something that we focus on customer experience for, let's offer that $10. You don't have to get me involved and come and call me when I'm on vacation to see if you're allowed to refund that $10 fee. So that saves headache, time, everything for everyone. So having that kind of system built in will really help keep everyone on the same page and help them not have to come to you every time. And step 4 would be to introduce regular feedback loops. And this is crucial for ongoing success. You've heard me talk about feedback in other episodes, but training your leadership team is not a one and done process. You need to check in regularly. You need to offer feedback, review their progress, and address any challenges they might be facing. These feedback loops help you ensure that your managers are growing in their roles and that they're adjusting to any new responsibilities smoothly. I recommend setting up a bi-weekly or weekly check-in with each manager. And during these meetings, you can review their performance over the past week, discuss any challenges or roadblocks that they encountered, celebrate their wins and successes in order to build their confidence as a leader on your team, and then offer constructive feedback on areas they can improve. And over time, as your managers become more comfortable with their roles, these check-ins can become less frequent. But in the early stages, regular feedback is the key to growth. And a tip, keep these meetings positive and goal-focused. You want your managers to feel supported, not criticized. And the goal is to help them grow, not to point out every single mistake. And if they are doing it, the ultimate rule is if they are doing it 80% as well as you would have done it, then bravo, everything is going really, really well. And finally, step 5 is to empower your team to take ownership. When your managers feel a sense of ownership over their responsibilities, they're more motivated, they're engaged, they're proactive in solving their own problems. This is the ultimate goal, right? Having a team that takes initiative and drives the business forward without you constantly having to stay on top of them to make sure that they're doing it. And how do you do that? This is what everyone wants. How do you get a team that is engaged like this and proactive and productive? And you need to encourage your managers to bring ideas to the table. Let them suggest improvements on how things are run. When they take initiative, recognize and reward them for it. Honestly, I'm constantly so surprised by what my team comes up with on their own, and giving them this sense of ownership has helped shape my own ideas. It's created new ideas within the business, and it's overall made my business better. And by empowering them, you're creating a culture of leadership within your team, which will free up even more of your time and energy to focus on strategy, growth, and most importantly, enjoying the life that you've built. So to quickly recap the 5 steps I talked about for training your leadership team. Number 1, define clear roles and responsibilities. Number 2, provide hands-on training and role playing. Number 3, set up a decision-making framework or system. Number 4, introduce regular feedback loops. Number 5, empower your team to take ownership. And by following these steps, you'll not only build a more capable leadership team, but you're going to create more freedom for yourself to focus on your ultimate goal of scaling your business without losing yourself. Thank you for joining me for another episode. I hope you found these strategies helpful and that you are excited to start implementing them in your business. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review or a rating. It really helps other female entrepreneurs like you find this podcast. And if you're ready to dive deeper into these strategies, head to my website. All the links are in my bio, and you can get more resources or connect with me on social media. Thanks again for listening to She Busy. Until next time.